Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome JobsOhio Board Chairman Josh Rubin.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the fourth quarter JobsOhio board meeting. We appreciate all those around Ohio and beyond that are joining us here today. At previous board meetings this year, you've heard quite a bit of talk about our new strategic plan. And while JobsOhio has been a tremendous success on so many fronts, Ohio simply is not the same state we were in 2011 when JobsOhio was first created. Therefore, it's important for us to continue to evolve to meet the needs of this state in 2025 and beyond. And to that end, we've been involved in a strategic planning process that will help guide us as we work to stay ahead of the curve in our economic development efforts. I want to thank so many of you who have provided invaluable feedback on where we need to focus those efforts. We've listened and we've heard you loud and clear, and I think you'll be very pleased with the direction that we're heading. You're going to hear more about that plan during our meeting today, but I'm very excited to hopefully be able to share the final product with you early next year. And importantly, while we've been developing this plan, we've continued to do the blocking and tackling we know is so important for successful economic development outcomes. When Governor DeWine joined us at our last board meeting, he mentioned the unique structure of JobsOhio and how it gives us a competitive advantage. It's incumbent upon all of us to capitalize on that advantage, and we're working to do that each and every day. We're working with companies big and small to grow or relocate in every region of Ohio. And we're working with our partners across the state to make sure they're prepared to capitalize on opportunities. Our team at JobsOhio understands what it takes to succeed, which is why, in spite of the slowdowns we are seeing across the country, Ohio is still a leader in economic development space, and we are leading our peers in so many metrics, including number of deals, capital expenditures, and jobs created. And I'm just so grateful to each and every one of our team members, particularly those who are in the trenches making these things happen. Thank you. Before we move into the heart of the agenda, I also want to just take a brief moment and recognize the newest member of our JobsOhio team. Our Chief of Staff, Phil Greenberg, and his wife, Emily, welcomed a beautiful baby, Tegan Grace, into the world this week. And I want to congratulate the Greenberg family. We wish you all the very best. So with that, I believe the first order of business is to approve our minutes from the October 24th meeting. Everybody has had a chance to review the minutes. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
There's a motion to approve. Is there any discussion or edits to the minutes? Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the minutes from the October 24th meeting are approved. I will now kick it over to our president, JP Nussi, for the president's report. JP?
Thank you, Chairman Rubin. During a very busy holiday season, I want to make sure I say how grateful all of us are for the dedication of our board members. Each of JobsOhio's board members are appointed by Ohio's governor, and they're unpaid volunteers, and we appreciate their support and the important oversight role that they have for this unique platform. I also want to thank JobsOhio's network partners and their leaders, Kim Lauterbach of Ready Cincinnati, Jeff Hoagland, the Dayton Development Coalition, Dean Monsky, the Regional Growth Partnership, Katie Farber of Ohio Southeast, Kenny McDonald, One Columbus, Alexa Sweeney Blacken of our newest partner, Lake to River, and Bill Kaler of Team NEO. Your partnership and that of your teams and your boards is essential. It's an essential element of JobsOhio's formula and for Ohio's competitive advantage. Ohio's Governor Mike DeWine often says this is Ohio's time, and every day we see evidence of how right he is. All across the state, Ohioans are stepping up to meet the moment, and for the first time in a generation, people are moving in rather than migrating out of our state. And they're coming for jobs and the unmatched value proposition available here in Ohio. There's optimism that Made in Ohio will again be the nameplate for the best in global manufacturing. That story resonates because it's true. It's based on grit, resilience, and a belief, even when times were a bit grim. Many of you know the history. Ohio watched core industries migrate south and then across borders and oceans. And from 2001 to 2011, Ohio saw a steepening of the downward curve, and Ohio lost almost 18.5% of jobs in critical industries. And it was at the bottom of nearly all key economic development indicators. The citizens of Ohio, recognizing an urgent need to correct the situation, elected state leaders and legislators who stepped up and prioritized pro-business and pro-workforce policies that laid the foundation for Ohio's comeback. That included the creation of JobsOhio. The mission, JobsOhio, was focused and intentional to rebuild the industrial core in our state around 9 targeted sectors. Those sectors are the most capital intensive and create the most and highest paying jobs. We call them tradable industries because they can be anywhere. They can be in any state, any country, where they believe they can be the most successful and where they feel that they're the most wanted. So fast forward to today, and that focused and intentional strategy helped transform Ohio from a state in decline to one leading the nation across every virtual measure. For the second straight year, Ohio ranked number 1 in Site Selector's Global Groundwork Index, which is an index around job creation, capital expenditure, infrastructure investment for the last 5 years. So out of all 50 states, Ohio is setting a national standard and doing it now consistently. CNBC also gave Ohio its highest ranking ever this year, moving up 34 spots as a top state for doing business. Even more impressive, Ohio ranks second nationally in the cost of doing business, 4th in cost of living. I mean, these are the kinds of proof points that appeal to both businesses and employees and the families when they decide where to locate, where to invest, where to build their business, where to build their life. And what makes these achievements even more impressive is how we're getting there as a state. Ohio is now the 8th most diverse economy in America, according to Moody's, and one of only 3 states in the country where we are growing more diverse each year since 2011. So Ohio's not in decline, and it's not a turnaround state. Ohio is now in a leadership position. And the best companies in the world that might not have looked at Ohio or considered us 5 or 10 years ago are now putting us near the top of their consideration set because they know that they can be successful here. And the proof's in the rankings, but more importantly, it's in the results that we see on the ground every day. And for Ohio to remain in this leadership position with the momentum that we've got, we must have the population and the skilled technical workforce to fill the jobs that are being created. And we're beginning to see evidence that the investments that we're making are beginning to make a difference. According to data from the Census Bureau from 2019 to 2023, a net of 97,000 people came to Ohio for job-related reasons. And in 2024, an analysis by Bloomberg reveals that Ohio's 25 to 44-year-old population in the last 4 years is stable or increasing in at least 3/4 of Ohio's counties. The demographic that is leading Ohio's net in-migration is the prime working age group, representing a key driver of job business growth and will help us lead that growth for decades to come. So we are beginning to see evidence. People are coming here and more people are staying here. There's a lot more work to do. But there's also another study by the National Association of Realtors published last week that found Ohio is leading the Midwest and ranked number 10 in America for net in-migration. The study asked home buyers why they were moving. And the top answers and the top reasons were 1, to be near family and friends, 2, to get more value for their money. This goes to Ohio's affordability. And 3, to be closer to a job. And again, Ohio's already strong value proposition is becoming stronger. And Ohio is the only state in the country to consistently place in the top 5 for the Site Selector's Governor's Cup rankings for total economic development projects and per capita projects. And importantly, because Ohio is such a diverse state, a story that's not told all the time is the success that Ohio is having in both the large markets and the small markets. So our success as a state is we have the most major metropolitans and the most micropolitans in the top 10 of these rankings. So this is a very balanced growth that we're seeing. Previous data may have predicted Ohio's population would decline around these micropolitans, but the 25 to 44-year-old demographic is showing up to fill those jobs and to build their families, resulting in 75% of the 88 counties stable or growing. During the past decade, Ohio clearly experienced growth in statewide outcomes, but in the last 5 years, we've really hit the accelerator. You can see the comparison data here. Beyond the growth in projects, jobs, and payroll, most striking is the massive leap in capital expenditure. This is telling because it signals a seismic vote of confidence in Ohio's long-term potential by both businesses and workforce. And there's a ripple effect. With each job created, results in nearly 2.5 more throughout Ohio's economy. And every dollar invested by JobsOhio brings in $17 in revenue from the jobs created, meaning more resources for better schools, improved roads, and upgraded infrastructure. And the signposts of Ohio's economic momentum are statewide and multi-sector. They include mega projects like Intel, AWS, MedPace, Honda, LG, and hundreds of strategically important projects like Sierra Nevada, Joby Aviation, Aer Lingus, Purina, and General Mills. And since 2019, JobsOhio's outstanding professionals and partners working alongside our state government have achieved high watermarks for each metric that we measure. And doing this all while generating an increase of 75% in return on investment from these deals back to the state of Ohio. At JobsOhio, we recognize that small businesses in Ohio's small towns not only differentiate our state, but they are crucial to building vibrant communities and a growing state economy. And since 2020, we provided catalytic assistance to projects and helped over 550 small businesses and 25 downtown districts in Ohio's smaller towns. Our deal pipeline remains robust, with very active discussions on several projects that, if closed, would keep Ohio in its national leadership position. But still, the effects of the economic headwinds are undeniable. This year, while traditional sector projects were down nationwide by just over 35%, Ohio remains at the top, ranked number 3 for completed projects, number 4 for capital investment, and number 6 for new jobs nationally. And as we look to 2025 and beyond, JobsOhio will continue investing, and our chairman referenced this. We're going to continue to invest in strategic, high-value sectors while we capitalize on Ohio's strategic advantages in power and energy and continue to market Ohio aggressively for our quality of life. In 2019, JobsOhio added military and federal missions as a targeted sector, along with programs supporting Ohio's talent and workforce, industry site development, innovation districts, air service, and small business support to our list of priorities. And before we get to a bit more detail on the strategic plan that Chairman Rubin referenced, we wanted to provide a brief update on our sites program, because if we want to sustain our long-term growth, even if we have the talent, the affordability, the quality of life, a robust pipeline, if there is not a site available for that company to locate, and if it's not available within a reasonable amount of time, we're going to lose that opportunity. And fortunately, through the work of JobsOhio and leadership from Governor DeWine, Lieutenant Governor Husted, working with our legislature on the All Ohio Future Fund, we have a framework for investment in Ohio's sites. And to help here to explain how this is going is JobsOhio's Vice President of Sites and Infrastructure, Terry Slayball. Terry.
Good morning.
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 Thanks, JP. So we, in Ohio, at JobsOhio, we build our sites program through 3 initiatives. First, our Site Ohio authentication program, which puts properties through an exhaustive analysis guaranteeing that they're ready for development. Our second initiative is our Ohio Site Inventory Program, which provides a funding muscle to help communities and private developers take promising sites from potential to project ready. And then finally, our third leg of our site development stool is finally taking a proactive approach through strong statewide partnerships where we work hand in hand with our regional network partners, utility providers, and state agencies to identify and prepare sites for development. We also work closely with the governor's office and the lieutenant governor and the Ohio Department of Development on initiatives like the All Ohio Future Fund that JP mentioned. Through this 3-pronged strategy, we've capitalized on having the right sites in the right places ready at the right time. When we designed OSIP, the Ohio Site Inventory Program, in 2020, it started with a clear goal, which is to fill the gaps in Ohio's site inventory. Simple enough, but we knew the structure of how we approach this needed to be intentional and flexible enough to evolve with Ohio's needs. These are properties that the market itself isn't developing, but where we see proven demand and clear economic benefit to create that market. We took a shift during COVID. We concentrated on not only developing sites and bringing infrastructure to sites, but also developing spec buildings. We required a building as part of the application. This put jobs into play faster, thinking that we could get people back to work during COVID a lot quicker. This focus has actually allowed us to be more efficient with our resources and better aligns our investments with our broader strategy. We focus on filling proven inventory gaps that align with our targeted industry sectors. We require demonstrated demand, even though projects can't have an end user. We really emphasize the developer's marketing program and what they're doing to fill the building. We prioritize projects that expand Ohio's competitive advantage, really trying to align with the sectors that we're working with. We seek diversity in both geography and project type, from urban to rural, and I think you can see that through the location of the projects, and then from manufacturing to R&D projects. We've achieved really remarkable leverage, and I think it's even more remarkable when you think we started the program in 2020 during COVID. We really weren't sure what the appetite would be in the development community for investment. With the $148 million that we've invested through the OSIP program, we've leveraged nearly $1.8 billion in private investment, a 12-to-1 return for the program. In addition, it's created 18 million square feet of new space across Ohio. We're seeing these spaces fill up with top-quality employers that create more jobs and economic momentum in communities across the state. 54 of our OSIP projects have been completed and occupied by nearly twice as many companies as the projects we've funded. And they're as diverse in industry as they are in geography. 17 advanced manufacturing facilities, 18 aerospace and aviation project buildings on our legacy of flight in the state, 27 logistics operations, realizing the competitive advantage of Ohio's location in the heart of it all. But when we see a rural county that is able to land a new major food processor, we see small urban communities that are able to attract a technology company or an R&D company, we know that the program is working and that it's addressing all of Ohio in delivering our statewide strategy. We win with market-beating speed and quality. I think the partnerships we've created with the private sector and our willingness to work with private developers has really assisted us in getting buildings up quickly. And that really gets first companies in fast and shows immediate value of the development that we're doing. We use that initial success to build on momentum in that location and attract other companies. And it shows companies what's possible. They'll quickly recognize the opportunity and take advantage of it. We saw this play out earlier this year and last year in the city of Trotwood, a community outside of Dayton. We partnered with a developer in a non-use piece of property there. Through OSIP, we supported the development of the first spec building in the gated industrial park. We attracted the company Technicoat, a self-adhesives and smart tags manufacturer with a commercial presence in more than 40 countries to that building. And because of that investment, it created momentum and attraction to the industrial park. We had a company, Westrafo, started to notice, a Spanish company. They saw the development activity. They saw the early success of Technicoat, the first company, taking a location there. And now the Italian Energy Solutions Company has made its Ohio operation a foundation of North American expansion strategy. And if you know anything about Trotwood, it was really a Delphi community. You know, a lot of their residents worked in the auto industry. So to be able to go to a community like that and create this kind of commerce and industry in that community, I think is really gratifying and should be appreciated by this board, the great work you do when you approve programs like this. You'll see it's really about preparing that first building, and we see this all the time through the program. When we can get infrastructure and roads and other assets to a site so companies can be confident that they're going to be able to get up and run quick there if they decide to locate a building, is when we show that it's possible about building a larger business and local talent in that community. This cycle of self-feeding momentum is not limited only to industrial development. I'll highlight another example of Springfield Beckley Municipal Airport. We made a small investment there in infrastructure, and through the investment of that infrastructure and our partnerships with the Air Force, we were able to attract Beta Technologies, Joby Aviation, and Lift Aircraft to do testing there and set up their simulators. That added to us being able to attract a grant from Department of Development for one of their community grants, an $8 million commitment from DOD. We added to that with a OSIP grant, and we're able to build the National Advanced Air Mobility Center of Excellence. That's continuing to attract advanced air mobility companies in both drones and eVTOLs to do testing and flying there. We have a very unique radar system there called SkyVision. It's one of the few systems in the country where they can come in and fly in the air traffic control system in the country. So it's really put Ohio first and at the forefront of the next generation of aviation technology. Each of these successes builds on another. While OSIP helps us develop sites, we also need a rigorous way to evaluate and authenticate them, and that's where our JobsOhio program comes in. We take a fundamentally different approach from other states. Instead of just maintaining a database of sites that are available, we created a model that combines rigorous authentication standards with hands-on education. And when we say a site is JobsOhio authenticated, it means something. It means that all utilities within the property boundaries have adequate capacity. It means due diligence studies are completed with clear and actionable findings. It means every relevant state and federal entity is provided their concurrence that we can develop on the site. And it means there's no surprises waiting to derail a timeline when a company comes in and chooses a site for development. Each red dot on the map that you see represents an authenticated location where companies can move from final investment decisions to first-line production with confidence and speed. The black dots show our pipeline of sites that have gone through our evaluation process and are on their way to the next stage. I think what is really exciting about our program, if you look at the 32 authenticated sites, 10 have already been selected for development, bringing 14 different end users to Ohio. Companies like Google, Magna, and Nestle Purina chose these sites because they knew exactly what they were getting No surprises, just speed to market and peace of mind. JobsOhio collaborates with our regional network partners and utility partners to roll out WAVE application solicitations and evaluations to identify promising sites across the state. When we talk about the fifth wave, we're talking referring to structured periods with clear deadlines. When we tried a rolling submission process for the program, we found that site preparation would usually end up on the back burner with communities, something communities saw as something they could do later, and it wasn't a priority. When we moved to waves and we had a deadline, we began to see communities were more motivated to act. They either submitted their site for evaluation or they had to wait for the next wave opportunity to submit. And I think this created a demand, and the supply gets to our sites team more quickly, the potential sites. Wave 5 demonstrated the effectiveness of our methods. We conducted 55 site visits this year, the most site visits that our team has conducted across the state. With each site visit, we bring together local economic development organizations, community stakeholders. We bring in the local utility partners, our third-party experts, and we dig deep into what the site potential is, what we have to do to make it competitive, and we leave that information with the community. I think the thing that's missed about JobsOhio, and something we're really good at through this program, is the educational process that we bring to a local community about not only how to develop the site, but what they need to do as a community, give them real practical insight into the site selection process. A lot of communities aren't aware of how companies pick sites, the decisions they make, what site selectors are looking for, what their infrastructure requirements are, how to determine and market a site's utility capacities, how to present sites to prospects, what kind of sites they're competing against in nearby states. I think, when we talk about Team Ohio, and the governor talks about Team Ohio, this program, I think, really illustrates how we add to that team and build that team in the state. We've integrated our talent team, Christy Klaus's team, into our Site Ohio training program, because we know now the second question companies are going to ask when they get to a community is, where is the workforce going to come from for a location? Our talent team gives local leaders and economic development organizations the insights and tools needed to put their best foot forward. We've also expanded our program to help communities identify future development sites. Often I think we had 140 applications in Wave 5. We ended up looking at 55 sites. I think we have a dozen sites that are going to move forward in the program, but we now have a record of over 100 sites that we didn't know about before, and we'll continue to work with the communities on the better sites that we think can make it in one of our future waves. We also work with them about best practices and how to configure adjoining parcels, how to make sites larger through contiguous large tracts for major industrial site development. This process is pretty eye-opening for communities. Our sessions are well attended. When we show up, we had 580 community members attend those 55 site visits. JP, I want to thank you for the opportunity to discuss our strategy. Looking forward to 2025 when we continue to utilize the program. I want to also recognize Diana Reif, Pearl Jean Mabe, and Amanda Schwartz on my team who do most of that work. Thanks, JP. Thank you, Chairman, and thank you, Board.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you. You and your team are doing a fantastic job. And of course, all the partners in the local jurisdictions and with our state partners. So thanks, Terry. So looking ahead for the remainder of 2024 and 25, our primary focus is going to be to work with our partners to maintain and extend Ohio's competitiveness. Our challenges are well known. We discussed them here at the board meetings, and as we go around the state, macroeconomic headwinds resulting from persistent inflation and high interest rates and ongoing geopolitical tensions. We know the companies are commonly slow to make decisions during major election cycles. And with the 2024 races now behind us, Jobs Ohio will continue to execute the formula that delivers Ohio's competitive advantage. Chairman Rubin referenced our 5-year strategic plan, and many from industry, academia, and government have been involved with its development, and we're very grateful for that. We're nearly complete, but I wanted to provide a small preview of Jobs Ohio 2030. And as Chairman Rubin mentioned, we hope to have something in detail that's actionable in the first quarter of 2025. But here's a sneak peek. First, we're going to fully realize the Silicon Heartland with Intel's transformative investment as a catalyst. We've already seen a doubling of Ohio companies and their immediate supply chain alone. When you combine Ohio's manufacturing expertise with our nearly quadrupled data center capacity since 2011, we'll make the Silicon Heartland a reality centered right here in Ohio. This includes driving deeper into high-value sectors and their supply chains that are users of these semiconductors and their technologies. These will create more jobs and a more diverse economy in Ohio for decades. Second, we're going to seize the opportunity of AI, given the excitement and exponential nature of AI as its own sector, but also as an enabler of all the other sectors. We're taking a very thoughtful approach, and that approach is going to focus on real results and real impact, not the hype. We're going to support in-demand talent, skilled technical workforce. Our strategy is threefold: to retain, expand, and attract. Ohio is already number 1 in the Midwest for workforce productivity and number 3 nationally for manufacturing. But much more work needs to be done, as you all know. We'll work to complement and support investments and priorities made by our partners in state government, while ensuring that Jobs Ohio's clients have the workforce they need when they need it. Third, we're going to drive innovation. In October, we announced the Ohio Discovery Corridor, which better aligns our ambitions and capabilities to utilize individual successes of the Innovation District investments and the Innovation Hubs. It's the powerhouse brand that showcases Ohio's combined strength and enhances our ability to compete globally in these growing sectors. We will encourage affordable and available energy as a competitive advantage. Thanks to Ohio's abundant natural gas resources and deregulated energy market, we'll work with partners to support offering what every business desperately needs: predictable, affordable power. With the Ohio Valley projected to supply nearly half of America's natural gas by 2040, companies in every industry get competitive rates today while securing their energy future. It's a fundamental advantage that helps every business's bottom line, and we intend to work with our many partners to capitalize on that in the state of Ohio. And finally, we're going to continue to tell Ohio's great story. When we say you can have it all in the heart of it all, it's more than a campaign slogan. It's the reality of what Ohio offers: a high-value, unique combination that includes economic diversity, a friendly business climate, combined with an exceptional quality of life. Ohio's brand is increasingly resonating with companies and talent alike, as evidenced by our recent economic development success and by population in-migration coming from job seekers. We are on our way. Our aspiration is clear, and you can see it highlighted in red. But even more than the rankings, it's about ensuring that our prosperity reaches every corner of our state and benefits every Ohioan. Mr. Chairman, this concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you, JP. And it's very evident what I mentioned in my opening remarks, that while we are keeping an eye on the future and wanting to stay ahead of the curve, we continue to do that blocking and tackling that's so important to capitalize on the position we're in and on the opportunities that we have. So thank you for that great report, and thank you, Terry, for all the hard work and good work that you're doing. We appreciate it very much. Our next item on the agenda are the committee reports, and I will start off with our executive committee report. So all of our committees met yesterday, and we hear reports in the executive committee from all of our committee chairs. And I just want to take a moment and also thank our committee chairs, John Bishop on the investment committee, Lori Gillette on the audit committee, and Rick Platt on the compensation committee. They all put in a tremendous amount of time and effort to make sure that, again, we're taking advantage of the opportunities, that we're asking the tough questions, that we're having robust discussion. And we met for several hours yesterday and worked through many items. And just want to take a second and again, thank you for all of your hard work. We're making some great progress, and we're starting to see a lot of the results of that hard work. So thank you. Lori, why don't we start with you, and we'll get a report on the audit committee.
Sure. The audit committee of the JobsOhio Board of Directors met once this quarter, yesterday, and we approved the minutes of the previous meeting as our first item of business. The committee discussed with management and representatives from the Ohio Auditor of State's office the fiscal year 2024 Compliance and Control Review Report, prepared by Deloitte, JobsOhio's firm of independent public accountants. The Ohio Auditor of State is required by Ohio law to participate in the development of the review program and examines the work once it is completed. Again this year, the report reinforces JobsOhio's strong compliance culture and dedication to having and following established policies and processes. A total of 58 agreed-upon procedures, including 142 subparts, were reviewed and involved the participation of several functional areas of the corporation. Deloitte made no material findings in their review. 6 minor exceptions and 5 procedures for JobsOhio were preliminarily noted. There were no exceptions noted for the 12 procedures performed for Jobs or the 1 procedure performed for JOGC. Following the presentation and discussion by committee members, the committee approved the fiscal year 2024 Compliance and Control Review Report as presented and directed it to be posted on JobsOhio's website. The committee also received and discussed the annual compliance report from Claudia Harrington, JobsOhio's Managing Director for Enterprise Risk. This included an update on the progress of year-end ethics and cyber training. Ms. Harrington also provided a detailed report on overall enterprise risk management activities achieved during the past quarter. Finally, members of the JobsOhio accounting team provided detailed financial information to the committee for both the previous quarter and fiscal year to date, as well as detailed budget to actual reviews of expenditures and revenues for the same periods. Discussion and questions ensued. And with that summary, Chairman Rubin, I conclude my report.
Thank you, Lori. Any questions by the board for Lori? Okay. Next order of business is a report from the Compensation Committee from our chair, Rick Platt. Rick.
Thanks, Chair Rubin. The committee met yesterday. It spent a majority of its time meeting in both open and exec sessions, reviewing materials, engaging in extensive discussion on the annual recommendations to the board related to the compensation of our executive team and our entire workforce of JobsOhio, as well as compensation of the president and CEO, J.P. Nassif. Discussions during the committee meeting included the work of our corporation's outside independent compensation consultant, the Newport Group. It was an extensive report from them and will be a useful foundation for our work of the committee going forward. That's my report.
Thank you, Rick. Any questions for Rick? I know that you really had to roll up your sleeves and dive in, and we appreciate all the work you're doing. Thank you.
Sausage making is okay sometimes.
Let's turn over to the Investment Committee. We had, a robust discussion yesterday and are fortunate that John Bishop is leading that effort. John?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The committee met once this quarter, yesterday, at least in person. We frequently have discussions during the course of the quarter. about plans and so forth. This quarter, the committee reviewed and approved or recommended a total of $336.2 million in incentives. That's $336.2 million in 5 core economic development projects. The companies involved would commit to create or retain at least 4,838 total jobs, a lot of jobs, with an associated annual payroll of over $598 million. In addition, the companies involved will make capital investments of almost $2 billion in the state of Ohio. The committee also recommended, and the full board later approved, the 2025 budgets for our 8 major service contracts with the corporation's very valuable regional network partners. In addition, the committee received updates on several recent project decisions and had several discussions of possible new economic development opportunities in the near future. Finally, at yesterday's meeting, the committee received the quarterly reports from the corporation's investment portfolio advisors, Cardinal Investments, as well as the quarterly report from the JobsOhio Growth Capital Program. With this summary, Mr. Chairman, I conclude my report to the Investment Committee.
Thank you, John. Any questions for John? Okay, thanks again for all your good work there. Next order of business is any new business that we might have. Do any of our board members have any new business that they would like to discuss? Hearing none, we will move to our closing remarks where we like to hear from all of our board members. And let me just maybe start by saying that we are so much looking forward to 2025. Not quite ready to close the books on 2024. We've still got some great work and some exciting opportunities. But 2025, I'm very optimistic, is going to be a great year for JobsOhio and for our state. And we've got some great opportunities in the pipeline. And we are continuing, like we've said, to evolve and move forward. And so we're really looking forward to facing the challenges that we have coming up in 2025 and beyond. But we're quite confident, again, thanks to all the good work that's going on, that we're going to be able to meet those challenges and continue to take advantage of, as the governor often says, Ohio's time. This is Ohio's time, and we are fully prepared to take advantage of it. So very excited and looking forward to the new year. Chairman Bishop, we're going to go back to you. And
Okay.
If you'd like to offer any closing remarks, we'd love to hear them.
Sure, I would. Most of us make some notes about what we think we might talk about prior to this event, and it's interesting to see the consistency that you see across the board. The comments that I would offer as having served on the board for about 10 years now is to echo what the chairman just said, how bright the future is for our organization. A lot of people don't realize that JobsOhio is just kind of leaving its adolescence. It's only 10, 12 years old. And when we got started, there was a small development department. And in the last 12 years, the entity has just made really unprecedented progress in workforce development across the country. We went from being in the much closer to the bottom third of the states. I think you heard where we've improved 34 spots in the CNBC state evaluations, to the point where we have aspirations now that are stated in our plans that we want to be a top 5 state consistently. And in many cases, we already are, but that's a top 10% when you get down to it. That's our expectations. And the reason that I think the future is so bright, having seen the organization as long as I have, is that the team members and the partners that we've assembled are unbelievable. It's something that we never had and have never had to the extent that we have today. you've heard a number of them today with the people that have the professional backgrounds in workforce development and talent management. The regional partners that we've worked closely with funding for the last several years for them to grow. We are building an established entity that has a real bright future for future growth, and that's exciting. And I think you've heard some of the excitement. And most importantly, the Jobs Ohio has created a national reputation. And there's just not a major project that's being considered in the United States that somehow or another Ohio is not brought into the equation. And that's a huge change from where we were prior to the formation of Jobs Ohio. You may recall Governor Kasich ran on primarily being a jobs growth governor, which led to the formation of Jobs Ohio. And you see where it's come in that short period of time has just been phenomenal.
Thank you, John. I believe you're the longest tenured member of the board here.
I am.
And it's reassuring to hear that you're seeing progress and that you think we're heading in the right
Huge
direction.
progress.
So
Huge progress.
thank you very much. Lori, any closing remarks?
Yeah, I have a few. Thank you, Chair Rubin. Just has been said by, everyone, we have definitely some exciting project opportunities that are in the pipeline for 2025, but not without their challenges. We know, that workforce is a challenge, but I think that, when we specifically talk about that, I'm impressed with how all the stakeholders that actually can drive change relative to workforce are driving change. They're leaning in. We heard from Lieutenant Governor Husted, on what the state is doing to lean in. You heard earlier in the president's remarks from JP, what Jobs Ohio is doing. And we're seeing the investments that we are making a difference. And so that to me is what's exciting when I think about, getting ready to kick off into 2025, some of these opportunities that are super exciting, and then just, leaning into Jobs Ohio 2030. That's what I'm looking forward to.
Great. Thanks, Lori. Well said. Dr. Thornton, any closing remarks?
Yes, sir. I think throughout the meeting, we were really encouraged by what we were hearing with the strategic plan for Jobs Ohio 2030. And I think it is about let's grow together. And I think we will as a state with the talent that we have at Jobs Ohio and in our government growing together, partnering together, that we will see some huge changes. I think it will be a continuation of our past successes, building on those and recognizing how successful Jobs Ohio has been. At the same time, exploring new opportunities and determining where we might get our best wins in the future for the state. I think we can be very proud, as John said, of the positioning of the state of Ohio by Jobs Ohio in both creation and development of new businesses, but as well the encouragement and support of existing businesses in the state of Ohio. Like Lori, I was impressed by the Lieutenant Governor's visit with us as he talked about talent development and ways in which our young people in the state of Ohio can access skill development if they're interested. We are providing a platform for all of them to be engaged, and we need them. And so having that avenue for development and growth, I think, is going to be hugely important. I'd also, as I end my comments and we end the year with Jobs Ohio, say a congratulations again to Bill Kaler of Team NEO. I've had an opportunity to work with him directly and his team, and they are great partners to Jobs Ohio. He will be missed, but we will be welcoming in 2025 a new partner there. But just saying congratulations to Bill.
Thanks, Jerry Sue. Rick?
Chair Rubin, sitting here, the sites discussion that we had, JP's great phrase, tradable industries, which is our focus. We're not talking about where we are necessarily, but we're sitting where we could take a chip shot, or maybe in my case, a 5-iron shot to the Panhandle rail line. It's a line that's been here since the Civil War, and the industry's dotted along that line from the Ohio River into Columbus. 30 years ago, the state acquired that line, and it's really a key asset of the state. It's unusual to think about state owning that, but if it weren't for that, it wouldn't be here. And so when we talk about sites and we talk about those tradable industries, the most recent example along that line, kind of in a midpoint of Columbus and Eastern Ohio, is Behr Paint. One of those tradable industries, I don't know if we'd call it reshoring, but certainly nearshoring of manufacturing. $100 million investment, brought jobs, and they're going to be making 7 million gallons of latex paint. That's where my thoughts go today during this holiday season. And the demographic discussion makes me join in welcoming Tegan Greenberg to the world and to Ohio in particular, and thank her parents for doing their part to solve our demographic issues as well. Thank you.
We'll keep the pressure on Phil, right? Tom Sullivan, any closing remarks you'd like to make? I'm sorry.
You're
Scott
on mute.
Sullivan. I said Tom. I meant Tom Williams. I meant Scott Sullivan. Scott, we'll go with you first. I apologize.
Okay. Sure, Chairman. I'd like to have closing remarks kind of on the year in review and some of the things that we saw over the last day and a half here. And to get tactical on it, the core performance metrics that we've seen in terms of closing out a really good year, really up across all categories over 2023. Project wins, new and retained jobs, payroll, CapEx, across all of those core metrics. It's been a really good year. And as we heard from JP earlier, Ohio really is in a new leadership position. So a lot of the comments that he made and Lieutenant Governor Husted yesterday around the new net migration position, people want to come to Ohio. And that's for very good reason. And a lot of Team Ohio efforts that's been going on for some time now. So I really look forward to 2025 with the rollout and the execution, as we've discussed about Jobs Ohio 2030. So happy holidays to all, and thanks for a great couple of days.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate those remarks. Tom Williams.
Okay. Well, if John Bishop is the longest running member, I guess that makes me the second longest tenured member. And I echo his words that we've never been in a stronger position in our entire tenure, which has been about 10 years. It's just been amazing the success that JO is having now with this incredible team under JP's leadership. It's just fantastic. But to continue, and we're already halfway through our lease with the state. So to do the things we want to do over the next 6 years, the 2030 plan, all the things we want to do, the extension is extremely important. And the reason why is because we need long-term, huge investments to make these things work now. And without that extension, it's very hard to do that. We need to invest deeply in our pipeline, which is very strong, talent, and we need to invest in energy, and obviously the site situation. And we certainly don't want to cut back on any of our current programs. We want to capitalize on the success we've had, but to be able to finance all the things we want to do, we're going to need the extension. So hopefully in 2025, our legislators and so forth will see that clearly and approve that. It's extremely important to do everything that we've talked about doing today.
Thank you, Tom. Well said. And last but certainly not least, our fearless leader, JP Nassif.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, as we come to the end of the year, I want to make sure, team, you can hear the energy and the optimism and the resolve. We've got a wonderful team. I want to make sure I shout out the professional team at Jobs Ohio. These are dedicated professionals that do work out front, but they also do work in the background that no one ever sees or necessarily hears about. They are delivering these results, and I'm very grateful to be able to work alongside them every day. And Team Ohio starts with them, but includes our board, our regional partners, and of course our leadership at the state, industry, academia, and government working together. That's why we're winning. So as many of you know, we do work outside but alongside government, so we can leverage the best of the private and the public sectors working together. And it's a process that will never be complete because we are always going to strive to be better and more competitive. And our competitor states are catching up to us, so we need to stay ahead of them. In 2025, in addition to having a new president and a new majority leader in the U.S. Senate, Ohio will have 2 new U.S. senators representing us in Washington, D.C. I want to welcome Senator-elect Bernie Moreno and thank Senator Sherrod Brown for his service. We will also have in the Ohio House and Ohio Senate leadership with a new speaker and a new Senate president. These are the leaders Ohioans have elected, and we look forward to working alongside them in our pursuit for our shared vision, that every Ohioan be able to live their own version of the American dream right here in the heart of it all. And I also want to, as we're talking about the American dream, I want to send a special congratulations to Ohio's own J.D. Vance on his election as Vice President of the United States. The Vice President-elect's unique story is certainly an incredible example of the American dream, homegrown right here in Ohio. So as we look forward to the work ahead, and there's going to be a lot of work, Team Ohio's aligned, we're focused, we're happy warriors, and we're ready to continue building on Ohio's economic leadership in the United States. And Mr. Chairman, this concludes my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, JP. We will let everybody know about the meeting schedule for 2025. We're still working through that, but we'll try to get those notices out as quickly as we can when we're ready to release those dates. And in closing, I would just like to wish all of you a very happy and healthy holiday season. And here's looking forward to a very prosperous new year in 2025. And with that, we will adjourn. Thank you very much.